Austin's home for hip-hop and hits 102.3 The Beat. I'm DJ Yella. I got Chino with me. We got a really special guest in the building today, a very busy man. Took some time out to come hang out. Scoremore shows, the founder, CEO, is that the title?
I don't know about
the man,
titles.
The man is in the building. Sascha,
what's
up?
That. Yo, it's great to be here, man. It's good to see you. It's been a minute.
Man, I appreciate you taking the time out. Scoremore started right here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Little humble beginnings.
Yeah.
What was the absolute first show?
Afro Man.
Afro Man.
Yeah.
I think I remember that was like on a Wednesday night too. What? It was like midweek show?
I think so. I just remember, was it on April 20th itself? I don't remember. I know that was definitely, no, it was Mother's Day. Here's how I know. Because no venue would give us a date. So Ace's Lounge was like, all right, we'll give you Mother's Day. Because in their mind, like, no one's going to go out anyway. So if the show does well, great. It's money that we wouldn't have had. If it doesn't do well, it's not like we would have had a big Mother's Day. I'll never forget that.
All right, now when you were starting these small shows like Afro Man, what was the vision?
I don't know necessarily that there was a vision other than, having a good time and figuring out a way to, make a living, and not only for myself but for the people around. I was selling cable and internet door to door, so I had kind of like this basic understanding of grassroots marketing. And then I was waiting tables at Texas Land and Cattle, and I was selling print advertising in the Daily Texan. And really what happened was I had a client who was a DWI attorney, and he wasn't complaining, but he was kind of exploring the notion of marketing to college students and how he felt that print advertising was finite in its ability to get college students invested in his business. And so what we did was we took the 21 and up wristbands and we sold it to him as a sponsorship. And so for the first Afro Man show, if you were 21 and up, and you came in, you had his name and number around his wrist. So that was the sponsorship that he paid for.
In case you get pulled over tonight.
Be safe, man. Be safe.
Now, some of y'all might not remember Ace's Lounge. Recess now. This was, 2011?
Really starting in 2010 is really when it started. Over at Ace's Lounge, because I got sober in 2010, and that's when things, turns out that's when things started going a lot better.
Now, Ace's Lounge maybe held 500-ish people.
Yeah, I think, we definitely...
put more than that in there sometimes.
At the time. But, yeah, no, it was kind of, because it had the upstairs and the downstairs. The downstairs was like 400, upstairs was like 200. It was a really great... I don't know if you remember the layout, but it was cool because if you were upstairs, you, look down on the stage. There's some great footage of all the different artists that we had perform there.
A lot of big names came through there in small venues. For
sure. All around in these small venues, you think about Red 7, you think about Mohawk Indoors. Tori played there. You DJ'd
his first show ever. I remember that.
There were 20 people there, and, he sold out Stubbs a couple years ago, which is cool. So, and then, forget about that. You got, Red 7, that Kendrick show. There were like 80, 90 people there. Now the dude is playing arenas. J. Cole, same thing. That Ace's Lounge show back in 2010. And that was the first, tour we had done. That was, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. And so that was kind of, we were talking about earlier, these runs of dates. That was the first one of its kind. But, man, just looking back on it, and that we get to do a festival with him in his hometown, it's a blessing. We don't take any of this for granted, man.
Now, when you were booking these guys super early, like the Kendricks, the Coles, Tyga, Mac Millers, playing small venues, did you know, maybe if I get them now, they'll come back on the back end when they're doing arenas, or was it just, we like these guys?
I think it was really organic, and we loved the music. And the music from that kind of, that 2009 through 2014 range, these are
the blog era was popping.
These are the guys that are at the top of the game, now. Was it some calculated, we're going to get in early? Nah, man, not at all. It was just one of those things where we're booking artists that we really liked, and we had these big teams. You remember there were so many amazing people here in Austin that we wouldn't be here with, this guy right here, Philip Payne, Edward, Castillo. There are obviously so many people going back that were really listening and paying attention to who this city and the people wanted to see. And so all we did was really just listen and try to book it. And as the artist got bigger and the band got more, we were fortunate to have their loyalty. And our business is the byproduct of relationships and nothing else.
Now you went from these small venues to like emos, and now you got your own festivals in multiple cities.
Yeah, man.
What was that transition like?
It was great. I mean, it was a lot of growing pains. I mean, you think about Jmblya, we call it a festival. It surely is now, but it started at Austin Music Hall. You know, these are the idea behind Jmblya was just a brand. You know, what would happen is we would book these artists, and then, you know, they'd get an offer to play ACL, which meant that on their Austin date, they had to play for C3 out of loyalty for the festival play. The same thing was the case for Fun Fest with Transmission Events. You know, and they, the same thing, they leveraged as they should, you know. So for us, we needed to create something to leverage it. And so that the idea behind that was creating a brand. Jmblya was the first one, and trying to figure out how to be unique. You know, we will never outdo ACL. I mean, that is the marquee, that is the Michael Jordan of festivals here, you know, and that's not us. So for us, it was about providing something different at a more affordable price point to make it so that more people could come, you know. And we've been very fortunate in having success on that model, but it's a different model. And then from there, you know, again, San Antonio made a lot of sense. El Paso, there was something that had already existed there that was doing about 5,000 people, and we brought it to now where it does 15,000 plus. And then Astroworld and Dreamville are just partnerships with two great artists.
Now, speaking of the brands, South by is coming up, and Illmore was one of the craziest things at South by. Like, some people just came to South by to go to Illmore. Now, when that ended, what made you want to just close the door on that whole...
I mean, the Illmore was an unbelievable blessing, and I think that we wouldn't, not even I think, and everyone who came up with us knows that we wouldn't be where we're at without the Illmore, just straight up, because being in Austin, Texas, unfortunately, with a couple exceptions, you know, the music business isn't here. It's all in LA and it's all in New York. So for 1 week, they come to us, and we just had the cool party. So if you needed to get in, you know, you had to hit us up, and the party was fun. And so we built good relationships.
In a house.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I mean, you think about that. I mean, it's incredible. And looking back at the artists that performed, I'm so glad we have the video and photos that we do. You know, I remember the New York Times article that came out said that, you know, your rate of admission was lower at the Illmore than it was at, I think, Harvard. Right. I don't know. It was something really silly, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that happened, and you think about, you know, what happened with the floor, and you know, that was pretty wild.
I got booed at the Illmore. It's one of the only times I ever got booed.
Why?
It was the very last one, and I don't know what time it was, but downtown was closed, so it had to be at least 3:30ish in the morning.
Yeah.
And the crowd was just really restless. Like, the expectations were so high.
Yeah, they expected Jay-Z, Kanye, and Drake.
And a Jam was DJing. She wanted me to come with her. And I was just trying to hype the crowd up. And they were just like, they didn't want nothing but Tupac or Biggie at that moment.
Right. It's so frustrating with that, you know, because if you look at the Illmore lineups, they were crazy, but especially looking at them in retrospect, you know, I think what people do is they look at the lineup from 2 years ago and they're like, look, you had Kendrick and J. Cole and Steve Aoki and all these different bits. It's like, yeah, but were you saying that 2 years ago in that time? No. So I think that the expectations just became to a place. And then also, the genre in general has become so successful, and the internet has made it so that you don't need to go to a showcase to get discovered anymore.
True.
You know, oftentimes it's not the labels who are breaking artists, the labels are getting involved as early as humanly possible from when those artists start developing, but they have digital metrics now. They're able to look at streams, they're able to look at Instagram followers. You know, the notion of that showcase, it's just not needed the way that it used to be.
Very true.
So people aren't coming to South by the way that they used to be. And I love South by Southwest, and I'm, you know, try to be as supportive as I can, but from the Illmore sitting back and doing that party, it's just, you know, artists just aren't coming the way that they used to.
You go out like MJ on top, you Don't got to worry about falling off.
Man, someone's going to bring it back at some point.
They've tried. People have tried, and it has not worked out.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm not worried about anybody else. Yeah. Some brand is going to come to us and say, "Guap, bring back the Ilmore."
Come with the bag.
Yeah. This man Payne is trying to make it happen this year. I find that unlikely.
It's not too late.
It's definitely too late. It's definitely too late.
Okay, I'm glad that you brought that up, saying it's too late. I know you saw the Fyre Fest documentaries.
Yeah, I did.
Did you see both of them, Hulu and Netflix?
I did.
Now, as somebody that throws big festivals, what was your first, red flag that's like, this ain't gonna happen?
Bro, when the first time you see his face, you're telling me that guy doesn't look like a crook?
He looks like a scammer.
Right?
All the way.
Man, it's an unfortunate situation. You know, you got to be so happy that at least no one got really hurt.
True.
There's still people that need to be paid. It's a really unfortunate situation. You know, I don't know. We talked on Instagram about this, but I had posted something that I think there has to be a level. You know, there should be some type of permit or license that you should need in order to put an event on sale. And then also these funds that are coming from the consumer, they should be held in escrow until the show plays. Mm-hmm. You know, by giving this guy access to the cash in real time, he was spending money that wasn't his. Yeah. And so it was just a disaster. But somebody should have stepped up and hindsight's 20/20, of course, but it goes to tell you, people with money are very entitled, especially when they're stealing it.
Very true.
Now,
you throw festivals, how far out do you start planning?
Oh, man. I mean, far, you start talking about it a year in advance. And then we're going to go up with Jmblya at any moment, either this week or next. So try to be on sale for, 5 months, 6 months, but you're working on it, long before. We sent Jmblya offers for 2019 a couple weeks after, last year. So.
And they tried to do that in, what was this, 6 months?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
undeveloped area.
Forget about, if you want to talk, that's just booking. If you want to talk about actually creating something, San Antonio, we worked for a year and a half before we did anything, and we were in the market, for 5 years before that. It's the same thing with Raleigh. We were literally going and meeting, with the city for almost 2 years. Gina, who works in our office, just kept going back over and over again and built that trust and relationship with the city. You can't just pop something up. You can't do that. It takes so many people to pull off a festival for so many people. True. You can't just, come on, man.
It's thankfully nobody got hurt. It could have went really bad for that.
I think it was good for the marketplace because, they kind of it's funny. They kind of proved why their app never would have worked. Because essentially their app was this idea of, anybody can book anybody. Mm-hmm. Well, their ability to book anybody they want was part of the problem, because when they announced this lineup, it was like, oh man, this is super credible. Yeah. Major Laser's playing it, Lil Yachty's playing it, good music, whatever that meant. They didn't announce Kanye, but there's a credibility there, but that credibility was undeserved. So I think, in the instance of that app, that's why it'll never work, because the relationship has to be strong on both sides. It's the same thing. We've had the success we've had because we've taken care of people and vice versa. Can't just show up and be like, oh, now we have Major Lazer, now we have a festival. We can't do that.
That does sound crazy.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it's so many festivals now? Do you think it's coming watered down?
I think it's a more challenging marketplace than ever, because now also what you have are these big amphitheater packages. And the economics of the amphitheater package, when you go to an artist and say, hey, here's 20 to 30 shows, right, whether it be the headliner or the other 4 or 5 acts on the bill, and it's all routed together, you're going and those big tours are taking those artists out of the festival marketplace, right? Because touring is the biggest it's ever been, especially in the hip-hop space, right? You look at all these amphitheater packages, whether it's Cole or Wiz or, all these different – Chance did one last year. Kendrick and TDE did one too. those are like mini festivals, man. If you're coming in and selling 25,000 tickets, I just think that there's a finite amount of artists and people have a finite amount of money. And if I'm going to get real nerdy for a second here,
Okay.
but if, you know, you have to price the ticket based on what your expenses are, right? And if an artist and production, whether it be sound and lights, are on tour, they're just by economy of scale, it's going to cost them less, and also they're not building out a venue. The venue already exists, like a Coda, for instance, right? So by them not doing that, they can afford to price it cheaper versus a festival that has to go and bring in sound and lights and fly in all these different artists because they're not on tour. So you can decide to go to 2 or maybe 3 amphitheater shows or 1 festival. That's going to make the marketplace more and more challenging.
True.
That's my
I feel like
nerdy.
a lot of them have like the same lineups too. A lot of the festivals.
Well, if you think about, there's a pool of acts, and then you're removing the people that are going out and doing these hard ticket tours. Yeah, it even, you know, it brings it even smaller. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. I do think that that's why we've seen the success in artist-curated festivals, because the artist is the most important thing.
Always.
That's the brand that matters most. Do people come to Jmblya because it's Jmblya? Yes, but only because they trust us to book the artist they want to see. The second that we stop booking good lineups, people aren't going to care about our brand. You know, it's not about us. It's about the artist. So, you know, Astroworld, the people who love Travis Scott, they're going to invest. Why did we sell out without announcing a single artist? Because people believe in his brand. Same thing with Dreamville. People believe in that brand. And there's something special that's something that only an artist can do.
Now, small shows, bigger shows, festivals, tours, you started managing artists. You got an artist that everybody knows, Tory Lanez. Tory is a very outspoken type person.
Yeah.
Do you ever just like hit his phone like, yo, get off Twitter, like chill?
You know, there seems to always be a method to the madness with that guy. I think especially early on, I would be like, what are you doing? Stop. He's smart, man. That kid is really, really smart. You know, you think about whatever took place, you know, with Drake. And there were times where, I didn't exactly know what he was up to. You know, Drake being at the top of the game, and, you know, Tory was living in Austin. But he's going on tour with that guy, and they're going and playing arenas, just them, and they have a real friendship. And I think that people really respect him because he did it and he got where he's at without that cosign, and he just hustled. You know, we put out 13 mixtapes before we put out an album. That guy's been hustling for a really long time. So I just try to support him the best way I can. He's a great guy. You know,
I respect the fact that he never backs down.
He doesn't, man. He is who he is. You know, he's a very unique person, and I appreciate him for that.
Now, you also have an artist here from Austin, Noah North.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about Noah.
I think, you know, as far as artists go, you know, we really... It's not only, and I say this over and over because it's so true, it's not about me, right? It's about a team. Like, I could care less just about, you know, my own success. If I'm not winning with everybody around me, it's meaningless, you know. So I think I have, you know, Payne and there's a guy named Troy, and, you know, they really believe in this management business and in building this label, and they've been a part of the Tory ride, and it was time for them to have something to grow and to build, and what greater than something from Austin, Texas, you know. So, and I'm here to support and invest, and I think he's great, and really put on for my people and watch them win, you know, because they've been holding me down for so many years, and it's time to see them win, and to see them win with someone from Austin. I'm excited. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for him. He's a great kid, and he deserves all the success that comes his way.
Now, I have to ask, it's going to be like artists. It's like, I'm out here, I'm popping. Scoremore don't ever put local artists on the shows. They're never doing this and that. What is the correct way to maybe open up a show or just get some eyes on you from the office?
I think contact any one of us. You know, we'd love to see what type of shows are you doing, you know, on your own, or what are you involved with locally. It's hard, man. No matter what, I could sit here and tell you about all the years we've put on local artists, because we have, and it'll never be good enough. There's still going to be people who be like, oh, Scoremore doesn't put people on. But you know, certain things are outside of my control. We just got to keep our side of the street clean. You know, sometimes with tours, they don't want a local opener. They got a curated experience that headliner wants to provide for you from doors open until the show is over. You know, these things are not willy-nilly. And so we try to add locals whenever we can. But remember, it's about the artists. So in the way that we used to, you know, book artists and fly them in, now it's more so that they're on tour and we just get the call to do their show, right? It's very different than it was, where it was almost like we were booking these artists for a show we were putting on. Now we just put it on for them, you know? So when it comes to that, we don't have the power to add locals. We do add locals. You know, Who Killed Kenny is going to be playing Jmblya, which is formerly Kenny G here out of Austin.
Is this breaking news right now?
Yeah, man.
It's breaking news. Kenny G, the first artist, Jmblya.
Yeah.
I was seeing some stuff floating around. I'm not going to put it out there right now, but if you know where to look on the internet, you can kind of see some of Jmblya. Yeah,
I feel really good about the lineup this year. I think, you know, it's going to be great. I think it'll be our biggest year ever.
Same location, still the same? Can you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, same locations. Bigger stages.
Okay. Stages.
Yeah.
Plural.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you got the merger with Live Nation. What's next for Scoremore?
I think now just having that big brother and partner to continue to grow, you know, that company is incredible and the people over there are incredible. And you hear, you know, the publicly traded company comes in and they start trying to control and you know, everyone over there told me, from, you know, the C3 folks to, you know, the people from the CEO to all the different people that I've spoken to at the company, we're bringing you in to let you guys do what you do best. We're here to be the wind, you know, beneath your sail. And that's true. You know, we're doing our first ever, you know, national tour coming up. We got 27 shows with an artist that we're really excited about. That wouldn't have happened without the infrastructure and resources of Live Nation. Not to mention Astroworld, you know, we partnered with the Live Nation office. There's just so much more we can do with all these different local offices. But as far as the partnership, you know, it's a dream come true. The notion that we could start from selling tickets door to door to now having, you know, a joint venture and an exit. What?
It's a beautiful story.
You know, I never in a million years would have thought, you know, life is such a gift. I don't take any of it for granted. When I say it's a dream come true, I really feel that way.
I hate that the Dreamville Festival got canceled, but now that they have the little Dreamville sessions going on, I'm way more excited for like what's going to happen.
April 6th?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done an incredible job, I think, of, you know, really making their presence known on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, I talked with Cole, I'm like, this is great. Like, you guys really have a great energy going on. And I think, yeah, it's definitely going to help the festival. And the record he dropped is crazy, the one with T-minus. You know, it's exciting, you know, and I'm a fan too, so it's really great to be a part of it. And then to be a partner and look at your partner and be like, thank you, all right, bet, let us, you know, carry the ball from here, and help contribute, you know.
Man, I appreciate you coming through. I know you're a busy dude. A lot of business to go on.
Come on, man.
Thank you for coming through Austin Music Mondays.
Thank you, man. Thank you for supporting us for all these years. We wouldn't be where we're at without you, so really appreciate it.